Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, we are back on, let's see, where might you be listening to this? Wealth Protector TV, Personal Pension Radio, LinkedIn, Facebook, MySpace. I don't even know if that exists anymore. Holly Moore, how are you?
Hi, Kraig. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, we're doing great. So I actually invited Holly to join us for an episode of Wealth Protector TV and Personal Pension Radio because as much as we don't want to talk about coronavirus and COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, it is the 24-hour news cycle, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't seem to get away from it.
Yeah, exactly. And one of Holly's specialties as a lawyer is family law, which does happen to entail things like divorce, family planning from more of a negative side of the equation. But unfortunately, one of the big causes of divorce and strife in a marriage is financial difficulties. And I'm not sure about you, Holly, but in my lifetime, because I'm way older than you, in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like this. My parents, even grandparents can't, I think, say that they've seen anything like this on a scale of unemployment and financial trauma in the U.S. So it seems inevitable that that is going to be a topic that we should pay attention to, and the topic being divorce, family, separation, issues like that. So that's why I invited Holly to chat with us for a while. Holly, maybe you could start just by telling us where you are hunkered down. Are you really actually at the beach and your green screen is your home office?
Yes, that's correct. I'm actually in Hawaii, and yes, this is just a virtual background.
Yeah. It just happens to look like your house and your children are trying to claw their way in the door right now.
That is exactly correct. They may make a cameo. You never know.
Yes. And I'm really at the lake, and my mailman won't knock on the door during the interview, I'm sure.
Okay, cool. We're good then.
Yes. So let me do this. Let me start by asking this. Now, I know that you have your firm uses a very team approach to family law, divorce, and things like that. But that's not all you do. So maybe we could start with just kind of give us a background and a description about your firm and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I own More Family Law Group. We're in Corona, and we do exclusively family law, but family law, does actually have somewhat of a wide umbrella. Most people think of divorce, which of course we do that. But we also do, baby mama, baby daddy stuff. If you have a dispute.
You mean not everybody is married?
Believe it or not, Kraig, no.
Gotcha.
So yeah, if you were never married, but you have a child with someone, we definitely handle those situations. We also do prenups and postnups for, people that are really looking ahead and want to plan for the worst case scenario. We do that. As well as if you've already been divorced, it's finalized and you need to change something after the fact. We also handle that.
Okay, gotcha. Now, something that popped into my mind as I was preparing for this interview is the reality that court, where you spend, I'm sure, an inordinate amount of time, and I know you must love it, right? You love going to court.
I do, actually.
How has the fact that courts have been closed, how has that changed the way that you're working with clients? I mean, kind of, let's help us understand what is it that you're doing with clients today, and how are you working them through this process? Those who might already have started down the legal process or might want to begin.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we went from, being in court with multiple hearings almost every single day. There's 3 attorneys in our office. So everybody's in court all the time to not at all. So it's kind of been a shock to the system, to our personal system. in terms of our own schedule. But it's really affected the clients because our clients, we're anticipating getting relief by going to court and being able to get in front of a judge and get a decision. So that part has actually been very challenging. One of the things that I was a little bit surprised about is I thought, okay, now everybody's going to be more motivated to settle. Let's settle all these cases because we don't have the option of just going to court and litigating anymore. So I was unpleasantly surprised that has not been the case. And mostly because what I found is a lot of the other law firms that are representing the other party have kind of checked out. So it's been kind of strange, really. As a lawyer, all you need is a laptop and a cell phone. So you would think that everybody's just really in a good position to settle and work things out, and we've got extra time and we don't have court dates looming, but that hasn't actually been the case. So what we have just tried to do is just be there for our clients, just talking to them more on like a human being to human being level, not necessarily client to lawyer legal stuff. It's like, what do you guys need? What's going on? What are you concerned about? And just trying to be there for them in that way. Of course, the things that we have still been able to move along, either by settlement or, we were kind of in the process of information gathering. Of course, we're still doing that and trying to take advantage of the extra time, the kind of downtime, so to speak. But I think for the most part, it's really just become more about how can we be there for our clients, for whatever they need.
Right. No, it totally makes sense. It's kind of interesting that you mentioned checking out, because I've seen that in a number of industries where folks have just basically they stopped returning phone calls, and all of a sudden the email they used to be able to check on their phone, somehow they can't lift up their phone anymore.
I know it's bizarre. We're getting all these autoresponders going. We're, because of the shelter in place orders, like we're not checking emails. It's like, what?
How can you not check all that
technology?
That is amazing. Now, there is a question that popped into my mind as you were going through your information. There was, are you counseling folks to continue to keep a journal and take notes and make sure that they stay active in the process as well, so they don't check out effectively?
Absolutely. I think it's all just about using this time wisely and trying not to check out. So absolutely, in terms of what they're doing kind of on their own time, it's business as usual. Absolutely still keep a record of what's going on in terms of custody and visitation, if that's an issue in their case. Use this time to gather all that financial documentation that you never had time to do, and you were always so annoyed with us, bugging you for it. Like, let's use that, So it's kind of, we're trying to do as many things as we can, and there's certainly no reason to kind of, stop documenting or stop trying to move things forward.
Right. Making sure you don't check out on the process, because others have checked out on the process, and I totally understand where you're coming from. On that note,
I think it's really dangerous to do that. I think it's dangerous to be the one that checks out, because if the other one is using this time wisely, once everything opens back up and we start having all these deadlines again and we're back in court again, the people that checked out and just kind of, threw their hands up, I think it's going to be a dangerous position to be in.
I would have to agree with that. It's always best to be prepared. And like you said, if this is giving us extra time to prepare, the more the better, right?
Right.
And on that note, right, because I think checking out, if you will, is a huge mistake, right? And it would be important to get your feedback, at least important to me, to understand what are some of the other mistakes that you see people making when they're approaching this topic. Like I said, it's a difficult topic. Nobody wants it, or at least, it's not a top of the list. Oh, someday I hope I can. No, they're not thinking that way. But if you're going in that direction, whether it be custody issues, baby mama issues, whether it be divorce, what are some of the mistakes that you're seeing people make that you wish you could help them avoid before they get to you?
I would say probably one of the biggest mistakes is going to be on the custody and visitation issue. Although the courts are closed, the bench, the judges in Riverside County have been having phone calls with the family law bar, which is us family law attorneys. And so we have been able to get some sort of informal guidance on how judges are going to decide all of these issues when they come back. Because, Kraig, what's happening right now is there's kind of a section of people that think, oh my gosh, with this coronavirus, with these shelter-in-place orders, my kid is not going anywhere. And they're basically withholding the child from the other parent for however long this lasts. So that's kind of becoming a huge issue. And because court is closed, we really can't address it in court. It's just going to kind of have to be one of those things where if one parent is doing that, they're going to have to answer for that when court opens back up and we're able to bring that issue to the judge. So I think that's a big mistake, is the people that are saying shelter in place means my kid is not seeing the other parent.
Yeah.
And then, on like a totally non-legal level, but I think it affects every aspect of our life.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest mistakes is just panicking. I think one of the most important things about what's going on right now is to kind of keep a rational focus to things.
Right. And that's kind of hard. The news media makes it very difficult to stay completely calm and zen about this period of time.
I agree. So turn it off.
Yeah, I know that we've talked about this before, but this is, again, one of those times to prepare. So I'm going to throw in a bit of a twist and say, for those of you who might be watching this, completely happily married or engaged to be married or just happily partnered up, congrats. We love it. You might want to consider actually doing some pre-planning. And I think I've heard you talk about it, Holly, things like prenups and things like that. Can that kind of stuff be done for people who aren't married, or does it only work for married?
Yeah. So I really wish more people would have a prenup. And if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, that's terrible, that's like, just planning for a divorce before it even happens, the marriage is doomed. I totally can relate to that. I used to think that same way. Even in my early years as a lawyer, I really used to think that same way. And I used to be against it. But as I've gone on in this career, and I know the value of something like estate planning, nobody wants to just, write their death ticket and say, okay, when I die, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So I look at a prenup along the same lines as an estate plan, where it's like, it's a responsible and loving thing to do. Nobody wants to think about worst case scenario. Nobody wants to think I need to plan for a divorce. But hey, have enough respect for each other to say, let's hope we never divorce. Let's give this marriage all we've got. But we have enough respect and love for each other that if it doesn't, if the marriage does go that way, let's plan for it instead of have a nasty battle, where the attorneys get all the money and you're left with nothing but a broken heart. So absolutely. I wish more people would have prenups.
It seems to me that type of planning, it basically eliminates the argument that, you should fight for this or fight for that in a divorce. Well, because you've already set that aside, you can focus on the real reasons why that might even be an issue in the future. And you're not using it as any kind of leverage. You're focused on the marriage more than you would be otherwise. Is that a fair way to say it?
I think so. Yeah. And I think also, when thinking back 17 years ago when I was, just about to get married.
When you were 17.
Yes, because I'm only, in my 20s now. Exactly. But it's hard to have the hard conversations and it's inconvenient. So but they have to happen. I mean, I think that's one of the foundations of a great marriage is talking about things that are not so flowery and fun to talk about. And I think the discussion around a prenup can actually help people that are contemplating marriage discuss some harder things, like what are the rules going to be during the marriage? Who's going to be responsible for what? I think it's really healthy to talk about that beforehand, but we don't always get around to that because it's not fun.
I know. I can't agree with you more. That the more open in the conversation you are, the better. And I want to wrap up with this, just a quick reminder where this topic comes from, right? Right now in the coronavirus pandemic situation, more than any other time in our lifetime, we've had financial trauma. And that unfortunately leads to situations like marriage strife and difficult situations in relationships. And if you're out there with this kind of thing on your mind, prior to actually jumping out to some online website, please, if you have any questions, contact a great family planning attorney like Holly. Wherever you are in the country listening to this, please don't just wing it. Oh my gosh, how many times have I heard that? How many times have you had folks come in that got started, we're just winging it and I'm going to Google it, and they come in and it's a disaster, right?
So many times, yes.
Please don't just wing it. This is not a place for you to Google it, okay? And
right. Yeah.
So
especially, I would say, with a lot of things, that's the case, but especially with prenups, because they are hard. There's a lot that has to exist within a prenup for it to be enforceable. So a prenup that is, no good. I mean, a bad prenup does you no good. Like there's no in between. It's either going to be enforceable or it's not. So the prenup is one, and there's a lot of little technical things that do have to happen and be present within a prenup. And Kraig, I also want to add, all the time we get calls from people wanting a prenup, but it's like 5 days before their wedding. And there is a timing issue there that affects enforceability if you ever needed to enforce it. Right. So right now, with all the weddings that have been postponed due to COVID,
now's the time.
It's a good time.
Oh,
yeah,
that is fantastic.
You've now been given a second chance.
That is a great way to wrap it up with this last question.
Okay.
How do people get in touch with you and your firm? What's the best way for folks to actually get in touch?
Of course, you can call us. Do you want me to say the number?
And we'll actually put it along the screen on the bottom.
Yeah, our office number is 951-534-5440. But, if you want to do your due diligence ahead of time and make sure that we're real and that, we might be people that you want to talk to, you can always visit our website, morefamilylawgroup.com. We're very active on our Facebook page as well, just the firm name. And we're happy to help.
No, I really appreciate it. And folks listening, please, if you have any questions in this area, or of course in the areas that we work at Barth Calderon, or retirement income planning as the income engineer, again, wherever you're listening to this, please take advantage of the opportunity for a no-cost consultation. Reach out and connect. Holly, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Kraig.
Listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. We took notes for you, so if you missed any part of the show, you can find a full transcript of each episode at personalpensionradio.com. Be sure to download your free retirement income crisis report at personalpensionradio.com. While you're at it, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening. Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.